Hi everyone, how are you doing? So a couple of hours ago there was a presentation in Fremont, California about the new Model S and Model X. Give us a little bit more information. A lot of people are really hyped up and looking forward to these new models. But before we get into that, I want to give you a real kind of quick summary here. So about 8-9 minutes worth of summary and slightly more relevant to some of the UK market in some aspects. So what did we find out? Well, before we get too excited, the current Tesla UK website still says the new Model S and X will not be in the UK until the end of 2022. So we've still got more than a year's worth of wait. And that's probably why we're very busy selling the previous ones. In fact, the prices in the UK for used Model S and X have been increasing quite rapidly over the last few weeks. But anyway, what happened last night? So the presentation included the new Model S Plaid specification, and when we saw this new model, to be honest, it doesn't look too dissimilar to the current one. So initially I still struggled to get a little bit excited because it didn't really look too much different, but we can see they've clearly done quite a lot under the skin. So here there's some good news and there's some things which I sort of question as well. Some elements they didn't really go into a great deal. But some impressive numbers here. They are talking about the Model S Plaid, which is a kind of replacement for the performance Model S. Now this is a 200 miles per hour car, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, and 1,000 horsepower. So ridiculous numbers. Interestingly, this is from a new type of motor. They've built a machine to make a new motor because it's carbon sleeved and has to be under extremely high tensile. There's no gearbox. So new Model S Plaid, new motors, carbon, 1,000 horsepower, which can be sustained up to 200 miles per hour. I'm surprised they didn't put a gearbox in. I'd have thought it would make sense like Porsche have done, maybe the 0 to 60 kind of one gear, then autobahn speed, then the sort of long gear for top. It would just help, but nonetheless, these motors can go over 20,000 RPM. They obviously know what they're doing. So they're also much lighter, so maybe this helps with the performance as well. Apparently you can pick up a motor with, by hand, one person, so that would be impressive. They didn't really mention about the battery, so this is one of my main sticking points. So in terms of range, they were talking about 400 miles-ish of range, and really that's similar to the current models of Model S long range and long range performance, which are using the 100 kilowatt hour battery. They did say new battery, but they didn't really say anything else about it, so we don't quite know what the difference is. There's no difference in, there's probably a difference in the chemistry and how some of the architecture, but I don't think it's the new battery, the new completely revised battery that they talked about on Battery Day. That will be probably in the Model Y for the UK and Europe next year. Anyway, so not too much about the battery. So they then talked a bit about charging speed, 186 odd miles in 15 minutes. Well, really that's similar to what we can see now on kind of Model 3. So what's that, 200, 250 kilowatts? He did mention they want to get the chargers to be faster, 280, 300 kilowatts, all good, that would be fantastic. But within that, at the moment, the current Model S long range can do 200 kilowatt charging speed in theory, but only in the US, because in the UK, the port isn't big enough for our rapid chargers. The V3 superchargers and other rapid chargers in the UK are all CCS now. And CCS is a bigger port. It just does not fit in the back corner of that light. So it would be interesting to know, we just don't know yet, what we'll get for that. Will the backlight be completely revised for the UK European market, where maybe more that corner segment is flat for CCS? Don't quite know how they're going to fit that in there, but it'll have to be that to get some charging speeds. But to be honest, it sounds like kind of similar 200, maybe 250 kilowatt charging speed initially. There's a lot to do. So yes, they took the numbers, but actually we've got some of those charging speed numbers already, so I wasn't too excited about that. New heat pump and new bigger radiator. This is quite important, heat pump for efficiency with the heating system in the winter. But the bigger radiator will then keep the battery cool. Now, Elon did say that this car will be able to do repeat launches throughout. So repeat launches throughout, yes, but will it actually be able to do the same performance throughout the state of charge, like a Taycan, like an Audi RS6? Now, I've driven those and we can see from various videos as well that the performance is sustained until the batteries really start getting quite low. Whereas in a Tesla, always their performance figures are always optimal, best conditions, best you can get, and actually in the real world, really hard to match. Now, you might have seen certain videos we're in where we've got the Model S Long Range Performance and Taycan Audi RS. You can see what I mean there. They are quick, but in really optimal conditions. So is that going to be the same with this new car? Can it be sustained more throughout the battery state of charge? Well, we'll only wait and see. You know, if in the real world, in theory, they can do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, we don't know. Obviously there's a big change on the inside of the car. We've got a yoke steering wheel option, so just literally like an aircraft. I don't know how that's going to work. It certainly sounds very interesting. The car will advise, will know, if you want to go forward or backwards based on, if you're parked up with the back of the car against the wall, then you get in the car, it will just say, right, drive forward. So there's some interesting things to see what will happen in the real world, how it works with this yoke steering wheel. New screen, horizontal, very high resolution, very powerful. They did say that the computing system in this car is very powerful and can run computer games like a PS5 type quality and 60 frames per second, I think it was. So, and then an addition of a screen for the rear seat passengers as well. And you can see then the center console, as we're starting to see some videos coming through now. The center console looks to be a bit more like a bigger version of the Model 3, basically. Horizontal screen, console, phone charging pad, armrest, and then in the back we've got a rear screen for Netflix, YouTube, for rear occupants. Now, speaking of rear occupants, the space in the back of a Model S has always been sort of okay, but not brilliant. Knees quite high up, seat quite low to the floor, not as big as you'd expect for what is quite a big car. In this, they say that they've managed to move the front seats forward, so you've got more legroom for the rear, and the rear seats are reclined further, so it should be more comfortable. They didn't say whether the seat base on the floor has changed, and I'd be interested, because that's always been my criticism with the Model S. And when they showed the new battery, they haven't showed like a cutout for put your feet in where the battery sits like the Audi RS, the Audi e-tron GT does. So be interesting to see again in real world how that comes about. It obviously is very much the same kind of shape as the current car, different front bumper. They claim the world's lowest drag coefficient, 0.209 I think it was, which actually 0.20 is what Mercedes claimed for the EQS. Anyway, a slippery car, different front bumper to the current ones, but otherwise it looks really much the same. Different diffuser at the back would have helped perhaps as well. Really good sound system apparently, new interface, so you can sort of get apps and drag and move the screen around a lot more. That looks like that will be really good, so a much more modern interface for the user on the computer system there. And at last, waypoints, and it's, it's a little thing that's become such a big thing. But in a Tesla to date, you cannot add waypoints on your route in your navigation, and there's been continuous pressure over the last few years, and it even came up, I think, from the crowd at this event that waypoints definitely need to be added. So it sounds like Elon will give in and add waypoints. I don't know why we don't have them yet, but they're going to do that. So waypoints, they've got sound insulating glass, so it should be quieter inside that cabin as well as a better speaker system, which will obviously give good sound for music, but also surround sound if you're watching Netflix in your car for some reason, and then sort of noise cancelling stuff by the sound of it as well. So there's quite a lot going on, quite a lot under the skin, but then they didn't really give any details. And I think there's quite a lot that could still change, certainly by the time it comes to the UK market here, but that's still 2022. So what a shame they haven't kind of got something they can still feed us in the meantime. It's strange in the UK at the moment, we've only got the Model 3. You can, as a new Tesla goes, it's only the Model 3. Can't get anything else, which is a bit of a shame, and a long wait for the others. So I think the residuals on the S and the X will continue to remain strong for the moment. They're still good cars, and then at some point, obviously, this new car will start feeding through. I think that's all I want to summarise really for the moment. It left me kind of, again, it kind of revives that interest to know more and see what's coming. But on the other hand, they didn't really give us much new stuff, really, and certainly not much technical details on battery, charging speed exactly, and stuff like that. So we'll soon see videos coming out from California, which will be interesting. See how real world those performance numbers are, achievable or not. Let's wait and see. The new Plaid in the US versus the Taycan Turbo S. Hopefully someone does that video soon. Serge, anything else have I kind of missed out the brief summary for the UK? Trying to keep it all fairly quick?
No, you covered all the points.
Very good. All right, I think that's it for the minute. Lots to discuss, but actually it would have been good to see more details. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching.